This video is likely the most charitable I will ever be towards women. This is a lesson you've probably never heard before, which surprises me because there's an entire popular movie about this subject. I'm making this video for men as part of my new series on this channel of providing wisdom to men about women. I can guarantee a multitude of men have experienced what I'm about to describe. There is hierarchy in all things, and love is no exception. Here is what I'll call the hierarchy of desire. For men, the hierarchy goes as follows. Not interested, I want to fuck you but nothing else, and I want you forever. It's nearly the same with women, except the hierarchy of desire has 4 tiers. And the one I'll be talking about in this video today is right between these two, and this tier is called I trust you. Before I begin, I want to make something abundantly clear. Women can just be manipulating you and have any of these 4 approaches. Just because they'll marry you doesn't mean they're not using you. Just because they're fucking you doesn't mean they're not using you. In fact, I'd say in any given situation, women are using you more often than not. The hierarchy of desire, as I'm calling it, does not describe behavior, it describes genuine feeling. Not acts like any of these things, but truly is. This video is about this tier. And to explain this tier, I'm going to tell you guys a story. And not just any story, but the story of my first love. This is my story about Lisa. We were 10 years old when Lisa and I first met each other. Well, technically Lisa was still 9, but she turned 10 about a month later. For that first year-ish, we just kind of knew each other, but weren't entirely friends. The next year, though, when we were 11, that's when we became friends proper, because we were seated next to each other in class at the start of the school year. We quickly became close friends. When we were 12, we started to become even closer, probably because puberty. On the day that I turned 13, which, believe it or not, was just a coincidence, I asked Lisa if she'd like to be my girlfriend. She said yes without hesitating. Lisa was the first girl I ever said I love you to, in a romantic sense. She was the first girl I'd ever been in love with, period. But I was still a stupid kid. After summer that year, I changed schools. And after changing schools, I began my retarded little habit of going months at a time without talking to Lisa. It wasn't on purpose. The truth is, I kind of just forgot about her a lot of the time. Really shitty, I know, but it's the truth, so I have to admit it. I still loved her all the same, and I never got with a different girl, but I still somehow forgot about Lisa. Although honestly, I think it was just more about forgetting girls, not so much forgetting about her, but I won't try to justify it too much. To this day, I still don't know how the hell I forgot about Lisa for months at a time. I don't know. So anyway, months would go by without us spending time together or talking to each other, but when we were together, things were great. Then I'd just stop talking to her for no reason again, like the idiot I was. One time she even got mad at me for this behavior, and I don't blame her one iota. We were 16, and it was late in the year. I called Lisa one night, and she just immediately hit me with, "Why do you ignore me for months, then come back out of nowhere?" Even though I didn't have an explanation, and I still don't, I still tried to give her an explanation, and Lisa just wasn't buying it. She hung up on me. I think that was the first time anyone had ever hung up on me. But ultimately, it didn't change anything between us. Lisa and I were very much back to things a few months later. She always took me back. I never got a different girlfriend or anything when I was forgetting about her. Lisa really was my one and only, but I was still stupid about the relationship. Then, during one of our off periods, another guy came into the picture. This was 2009, the year that Lisa and I turned 18. The guy's name was Caleb, and he was actually one of my buddies, one of my close friends, before he had met Lisa. But when he started going to her high school, they hit things off. Caleb told me directly that he and Lisa were together, and I always appreciated that honesty. I was hurt, of course, deeply hurt, but honestly, I wasn't mad about it because I was the one who went months at a time, for years, forgetting about her. I didn't blame Lisa one bit for eventually getting with another guy. In fact, I kinda deserved it. But sometime in the summer of 2010, Caleb went off to college in a different state, leaving Lisa behind. I was going through a very dark time in my life. I had moved out of my parents' place the day that I turned 18, but by mid-2010, I was back to living with them as I was going through this hard time. So basically, when Lisa and I were 19, we were both living with our parents, and we were both single again. One night in September of 2010, I looked out my window and I saw a woman walking down the sidewalk all by herself. Even though it was dark out, I knew it was Lisa, because, well, of course I knew. So I did something that was actually kind of creepy in hindsight, but you'll hear that Lisa ultimately didn't mind. I took my parents' dog Jasper, one of the few dogs I ever genuinely liked, and I took him for a walk. Specifically the sidewalk path that Lisa was walking. But I did my best to make sure that we were at least like 100 feet or so away. I had no intention of catching up to her or anything. I assumed that she was done with me since she fell in love with a different guy. I wasn't going to go up to her, I just wanted to see her, be near her, kind of, but not intrusively. Still creepy, I know, but I really didn't intend to talk to her or anything. Just wanted the moment to last, the moment of seeing her in the distance, because I hadn't seen her at all in over a year and I was still very much in love with her. But apparently at some point, Lisa must have looked back and saw me, and even from that distance, at night, still recognized me, because she suddenly stopped at the top of this hill and turned around and waited for me and Jasper to get closer. Just from the way she turned around and looked in our direction, I figured out that she knew it was me, and I thought, well, if she knows it's me now, then I'm caught. So I just kept walking right up to her because, well, I had no other choice if I didn't want to embarrass myself. And when Jasper and I got close, Lisa looked right at me and smiled and said, hey. She asked me how I've been. She asked me how my life is going. I asked her the same questions, and we started walking and talking the rest of the way to her house. Despite catching up and enjoying each other's company, I really didn't believe that Lisa was interested in seeing me again, so when we got to her house, I just said goodbye and left it at that. But then, 3 or 4 days later, Lisa texted me. She said she wanted to see me. She wanted me back in her life. And just like that, we were back on again. Coincidentally, I got my own place just a week or so after we reconnected, so we got to have an entire place to ourselves for the first time, which was nice. She didn't move in with me, she just visited. So that's the way things were for about 2 months. Only 2 months. In late November, right before Thanksgiving, Caleb came back to town. And when he came back to the area, he met up with Lisa and told her that he wasn't going to go back to college, or at least back to that college. He said that he wasn't going to leave her ever again. And that's when I got the text from Lisa telling me that it's over between us, and this time it's over for good. And I believed her. She told me everything that was going on with Caleb, and she wanted to be with him, not me. I told her it hurt, and she knew how much I loved her. She knew that she was the only girl I had ever loved in that way, since before we'd even gone through puberty. She said that she was sorry for hurting me and that I didn't deserve to be hurt like that. And the last thing Lisa ever said to me was simply, I love you. She said it one last time. It's now been 15 years and I still haven't seen her since. Now, let me describe what it was like being with Lisa whenever we were on. Lisa, to this day, is still the best lover I've ever had. And I don't entirely mean that in a sexual way. I mean that in a closeness kind of way. Lisa is the only one I've ever been with, to this day, who literally ran into my arms, as in jumping off the ground into my arms. If we met up in a field or at a park, and I got there first and I was waiting for her, she'd sneak up behind me, but not to startle me, to surprise me with love. I'd be standing there listening to music with my headphones, and then all of a sudden a pair of arms would wrap around me and squeeze me tight. One thing she did that all of you might find strange, and at least I did at the time, but looking back after all these years, I realized was just another display of love. If we were lying next to each other, or if she was lying on top of me and we were just talking, she would sometimes take my hand and just start kissing my palm, sometimes even like kissing it all the way down to like my wrist and my arm. Lisa is the only one I've been with who would text me out of the blue telling me that she loved me. She was highly proficient in random displays of love. Ironically, she was better at loving me than I was at loving her, when I was the one who wanted to be with her forever. Lisa was also the only one I've ever been with to this day who wanted me to show manliness. I'm not saying that she's the only one of my exes who wanted manliness from me. She's just the only one who encouraged it directly, sometimes even strangely. For example, sometimes at complete random, she told me to squeeze her as tight as I can. The first time she did this, I tried to refuse. I was like, Lisa, if I squeeze you as hard as I can, that might kill you. And she, in her very girly way, said, no, I'll be fine, just do it. Sometimes if I was already laying down and she was laying on top of me, if I needed to stand up for some reason, she would try everything in her physical power to prevent me from standing up, just for fun. Just one of the games that she played with me. I was a lot bigger than her, and she was strangely good at pinning me like that. And when I managed to finally stand up, she'd just cling to me and make me walk around with her attached. Lisa was also highly intelligent, at least for a female. Without question, she was the most intelligent woman I've ever been with, to this day. Honestly, I think Lisa's the one who got me into philosophy. At least half of all of our conversations were philosophical, and she was the one who initiated those topics. My earliest memory of this was sometime around when Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004, and I remember Lisa saying one day, have you ever noticed that superhero movies are about the villain, not the hero? I loved how smart she was, and she was also gorgeous. Usually with women, you only get one or the other, brains or beauty. Almost never both, but Lisa was both. The only one I've been with who was both. You know, as far as childhood sweethearts go, I had it good. A lot better than I realized at the time. Okay, we're finally arriving at the point. There is no doubt in my mind that Lisa loved me, genuinely cared about me. But what if I told you she never loved me romantically? Not ever. Would that make sense to you? She loved me as more than a friend, but less than a husband. And this is not because I went months at a time forgetting about her, though I'm sure that didn't help. No, this was always the case. Remember I said we were close before puberty? We were close before we had urges? That's one of the main ways I know she genuinely loved me. I'm not saying our childhood is the only reason she didn't love me entirely. I don't know why she never saw me as anything substantially more than a friend, but I'm sure that sharing half of our minor years together didn't help. But in case you didn't notice this, I'll point this out. Lisa never had whatever word you want to use, attached, clingy, dependent, whatever word you want to use. She never had that with me. Not ever. And yet, she always took me back. You see, during the times that I forgot about her, like an idiot, she forgot about me too. Not once did Lisa ever call me and ask, hey, why are you ignoring me? Or hey, where have you been? She never randomly showed up at my house looking for me. She never got insecure about me being with other girls. Nothing. There was never any insecurity from her. She never made any plans for the future with me. Frankly, I never knew if she even wanted to have kids or not. And yet, she always took me back. That final time that we were on, Lisa told me repeatedly how much she missed Caleb. She did not keep that a secret. She didn't even try. And for the record, since I can kind of predict some people are going to say this in the comments, no, Lisa was not the type to have like a ton of guy friends. She didn't have any guy friends, actually. I knew all of her girlfriends. I knew her parents. You know, I went to church with her. Like, I would have figured something out. And also, Lisa wasn't a liar. She was never the lying type. She was always honest. Like what I just described with Caleb. She never kept it a secret that she missed Caleb and wanted him back. The first man she ever fell in love with was not me. It was Caleb. So, that begs the question, what was I to her? How could she love me and yet not want to be with me? And herein lies the lesson that I want men watching this video to learn. Women can genuinely love you and yet still not want you forever. Lisa had no problem being seen with me in public. She had no problem with her friends knowing about us. She had no problem with anyone at school knowing about us. She had no problem with her parents seeing her with me. But she didn't want me forever. Really, the only difference between a woman genuinely loving you and genuinely wanting you forever is just time span. She wasn't using me to just have a boyfriend. She wasn't using me to keep her warm. It was all real. She just didn't want it forever, at least not from me. Women fake love all the time. I don't deny that. Everyone knows my views of women. I'm well aware that women fake love all the time. But sometimes it is genuine love. Sometimes it is real, and yet they still don't want to grow old with you. And hey, if this depresses you, find comfort in the fact that most women don't want to remain with one man forever anyway, even if they loved him in that way. For all I know, Lisa eventually fell in love with a different guy. I don't know. Lisa wasn't trying to use me for 6 years every time she took me back. I think the likelihood of that is astronomically thin. As if she was planning this since we were both children. Yeah, no. She wasn't leading me on. She wasn't trying to hurt me. I just didn't understand all of this at the time. Because like I said at the beginning, men only have 3 tiers of desire. I wasn't aware that women have 4. You might be wondering why I called this the I trust you tier. Well, it's because women are the weaker sex. Trust is very important to women. Even if Lisa didn't want me forever, she probably still immensely appreciated the fact that she could trust me in just about every way. She could trust me that I wasn't just using her. She trusted me that I was just stupid instead of, being disingenuous whenever I was forgetting about her. And since trust is so important to women, it often manifests as a form of genuine love. She could trust me to protect her, because I'm a big guy. She could trust me to help her. She could trust me to be a shoulder to cry on, even though that never happened. She preferred to cry alone. And she could trust me to never hurt her. And I'm good looking, and I'm smart, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". Put all of these things together, and yeah, it makes sense that women can develop quasi forms of genuine love. So that's why I gave this tier that name. Lisa could trust me in quite literally every way, from keeping her safe to not wanting to take advantage of her. Let me put it this way. Very simple term. She could trust me like a husband. She just didn't want me to be hers. Men need to understand the difference between these types of love. Just because she fucks you doesn't mean she wants to keep you. Men already know that. But most men aren't aware that just because a woman shows you deep, genuine affection and even devotion, that doesn't mean they want you to be their husband either. Of all the ways women manipulate, and they are extremely manipulative creatures, this subject matter is shitty. I am still technically describing a type of shitty behavior from women, but I'm willing to grant that it's the most understandable. Because even though it's still shitty, it comes from a place of realness. It comes from a place of authenticity. She wants to love you, but she just doesn't want to keep you like that. So, men, if you find yourself in this situation, always be careful not to get your heart broken beyond repair from not understanding this. It's easy to detect when a woman is just using you. But it's not so easy to detect when a woman genuinely cares about you, but just not like a husband.